Every so often, you'll hear people complain that they didn't spend hundreds of dollars on modern consoles to play 8-bit games. Yeah, I don't subscribe to that way of thinking. For as much as I love bleeding-edge graphics, what I'm looking for is a great game. That's how I would describe the new game Astalon, Tears of the Earth by first-time developer Labs Works. Although it looks like it should have come on a Nintendo Entertainment System cartridge, this action-packed adventure is a throwback that gets almost everything right. I would put it up against any one of the massive budget AAA releases coming out this year. And after I get done with this review, I suspect that you'll agree. Similar to movies like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and Star Wars, Astalon, Tears of the Earth throws us into a middle chapter in hopes that we'll keep up. It's the story of 3 brave warriors who have been to hell and back in order to save their village from despair. It's on that mission when they discover a twisted tower that has seemingly risen out of the depths of the dying planet. Little did they know that their fates would be directly connected to this living, breathing tower, forcing them to take on countless bad guys and bosses to vanquish evil once and for all. Actually, there is one person that could have predicted this. You see, Algus the Wizard has been keeping a dark secret from their traveling companions. Knowing the importance of the mission, Algus has made a pact with the Titan of Death that will reset time every time the team fails. Think of it like a demonic take on Groundhog Day, where our heroes are forced to continue reliving the same adventure until they eventually, mercifully, get it right. Taking inspiration from pretty much every era of Castlevania, Astalon, Tears of the Earth is a 2D action game where our 3-person squad investigates a large, interconnected tower full of ghouls and ghosts. Like all Metroidvania adventures, you'll spend a lot of time exploring the complicated tower and picking up items that'll open up new areas to investigate. What makes this game stand out is that instead of playing as one character that can do it all, we'll end up needing to switch between the different characters in order to use their different abilities to delve deeper into the tower. At first you'll need to do this at one of the campfires, but you'll eventually pick up an item that will let the player cycle through the team at a mere push of a button. That's really useful. Now, the core team is made up of 3 wildly different characters, each with their own attacks and special moves. I ended up spending most of my time playing as Algus the Wizard, who ends up controlling a lot like Mega Man. There's also Arius the Fighter, who will hack and slash through the tower using mostly close-range attacks. They're also good at clearing blocked paths and putting out fires. Rounding out the cast is Kiuli the Rogue, who shoots devastating arrows and knows how to climb walls and other objects. Each of these heroes has their own purpose, so as tempting as it is to spend the whole time floating around with Algus, you'll need to swap out the fighters in order to overcome most of the obstacles. The other big change to the formula comes with life after death. This is not one of those games where you simply go back to the checkpoint when you die. Instead, what happens is our hero meets with Epimetheus in the afterlife, who will let you buy upgrades and power-ups and even new abilities with the gold coins that our heroes pick up along the way. From there, it's back to the very start of the tower, where you'll go through the same corridors and fight the same groupings of demonic enemies. But don't worry, because it's actually not as repetitive as it sounds. For one thing, the tower has an elevator system that makes getting around a whole lot easier. We'll also find that our progress remains intact, so those doors that you've unlocked and shortcuts that you've found will still be there. This sets up a fun dynamic where you may actually want to die on purpose, not just to upgrade the adventure, but also to just get back to a more accessible part of the map. I found that I wasn't playing this the same way as other Metroidvania games. But even though I found that the action reminded me more of Mega Man than Castlevania, it's the exploration and the sense of discovery that holds this game together. The level design in Astalon is masterful, rivaling many of the greats in the genre. The tower is an absolute blast to investigate, full of hidden areas and cleverly implemented puzzles that are both unique and oh so satisfying. This is one of those games where a large chunk of the experience is entirely optional. You can rush through and complete the game fairly quickly, or take your time and discover every wing of the tower that you might not have seen otherwise. There were even hidden characters and new abilities to uncover for those who are thorough enough. I'm not gonna lie, I was honestly a little surprised at how long and involved this game was. And that's true of the entire game, from the compelling opening to all the extra stuff crammed in the tower. This is a game that surprised me with its quality. It's especially impressive knowing that this is developer Labsworks' debut release. They've created a game that isn't just a fun throwback, but rather an adventure that looks and feels authentic to the 8-bit era. I'm sure you could nitpick that maybe there are too many colors on screen, or those old consoles wouldn't be able to handle all those sprites without flickering and slowdowns, but in the moment, it took me right back to being a kid with a Nintendo Entertainment System sitting way too close to the television. Astalon understands what made those classic games so great to begin with. Now look, because there are so many of these retro-themed Metroidvania games already on the market, we're accustomed to looking for the big gimmick or a twist that makes it different somehow. Astalon is a game that doesn't make a big change to the formula, but rather gives us a lot of smaller ideas that add up to something that still feels fresh. It's in the way that you can switch characters, the unique items you find, and the way the game works with the whole live, die, repeat structure of Groundhog Day. All of these twists on the genre lead to a lengthy adventure that I couldn't put down. Even when that elevator to the final boss was open and just waiting for me to take it, I couldn't bring myself to beat the game without finding all the rooms and secrets in the tower. I just didn't want the adventure to end. Yeah, it's that good. Unfortunately, there is one genuinely bad thing about Astalon, and that's the bosses. Guys, I don't know what it is about 2021, but quality boss fights have taken a real tumble this year. This is now the third game in a row where I've complained that the boss fights are either too easy or broken. Alright, so you can break the battles down into 3 types, none of which are especially memorable. There's a one-on-one fight with a similarly sized character that reminded me of a bad Mega Man boss. There's also another type of boss that roams the tower with the regular enemies and disappears for good when you kill them. And then there's the bigger bosses that usually hold on to one of the colored crystals that you're trying to collect. The bigger bosses are the most interesting, but they're also the easiest and least satisfying. They're also a reminder that the developers have not figured out how to come up with a memorable boss fight. I mean, they did an excellent job on the gameplay and level designs, but their boss game still needs some work. But look, let's be honest here, you don't play these types of Metroidvania games for the bosses. Sure, it's nice when they kick ass, but we're here for the exploration and item upgrades. That is where Astalon Tears of the Earth really shines. It's like a greatest hits collection of all your favorite 8-bit games, brought together by an authentic presentation and a masterfully crafted tower full of surprises. Astalon is yet more evidence that you don't need bleeding-edge graphics to make a great action game. By mixing elements from Castlevania, Mega Man, and even Groundhog Day, first-time developer Labsworks has created a glorious new throwback game that will scratch that 8-bit itch. From the urgent storytelling to the wonderful cast of characters to the expertly laid out tower filled with secrets, Astalon gets just about everything right. The only misstep are the boss fights, which feel like an afterthought when compared to the rest of the game. In a year filled with great games inspired by the Belmont clan, Astalon Tears of the Earth is one of the best. Hey, thanks for watching our review. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we post new reviews and features almost every day. Now, here's the question I have for you. What recent game surprised you? I don't know, maybe it was something that didn't wow you at first, but then really turned you around in a big way. Let me see your picks in the comments below. In other news, we'll be back tomorrow with a game all about taking pictures that isn't Pokemon Snap. We'll also be looking at some of the best new games to come out of E3 2021, so you won't want to miss it. If that sounds good to you, then I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then,